Rebellions are built on hope.
Alberto, you're mute. You're muted.
Thank you. Here we are. And another episode of Radio Rebellion. That's why we have a co-host so he can. So you manage me by myself here an hour just talking, and then no one else hears me.
So I kind of feel like a failure. So I was like, I'm gonna take over. And I was like, wait, how does Alberto go? Just say it.
All right, let's try this again. Welcome to another episode of Radio Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast. I am your host, Alberto Calderon, who forgot to hit the unmute button. Oti, thanks for letting me know. Thanks for joining us today. How are you doing today? I see your Fallen Star t-shirt. I see the Starlight Beacon.
It's sad, but I just love this poster so much. Like how they leaned into the Poseidon adventure of it all. I really loved it.
Yeah, I got also my High Republic shirt. It's a little
good.
Dark in here, but
I had the Nile one I usually use, but I was like, I've used that one too much. I
need to get another High Republic shirt also. Every time I talk High Republic, I have this red one, so I don't need a new one.
I have to stop making Marky and Rose shirts because I'm just gonna keep buying them.
It's difficult. He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
All right, as we start.
As we were talking, I watched Cocaine Bear yesterday, so I'm feeling hyped, excited.
It's funny because I know you posted late yesterday, you watched it, you really enjoyed it. I went today, the family, we went to a horse retirement place that they have here in that county. One of my favorite places to go here. And there's a little trail that you go off trail. It's just woods and stuff. And my wife goes, this is where they filmed Cocaine Bear because it just looks like that. So, yeah. And funny story, but not really. My day started great. Went to see some horses, which I love. And then I almost sat down into the toilet, man. I just almost fell down. I didn't notice that both lids were up, and I went all the way to the cold ceramic inches from the water. I'm like, this is not the way to start the day. And I know no one wanted to hear that story, but I just had to get it off my chest. All right, thanks everyone for being here. As always, if it's your first time joining, thank you. And make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any episodes as we go live every weekend. And comment, leave us a comment in the chat, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And if you've been here before, thank you. Especially because, Oti, we made it 200 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. Thanks to everyone so much. This after 3 years, I know. There we go. 3 years. It took us a little bit, but we got there. So very appreciative to everyone for supporting us throughout the run of this show. And we'll keep doing this as you guys keep tuning in. We'll keep doing it. So thanks again to everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it is. Just put it out on Twitter as a joke. Hey, come follow, and we got about 10 in about
That's
2 hours.
Joke.
Yeah, it's a joke. we gotta sell it that way so we don't look too desperate. Okay, Oti, we have a couple of things to go over today.
We have people in the chat. We have awesome people.
Yeah, who's out there? Who's in the chat today?
We have Brennan. He's out there.
Hey, Brennan.
We have Roberto.
Oh, Roberto, thanks for.
And we have Mo.
So, thank you. Thanks everyone for being here. We're gonna have fun on this show today. A lot of stuff to talk about. And if you guys are ready, I'm not ready. Let's talk Star Wars and Star Wars news. Star Wars news, and there's been a lot of talk about Star Wars Celebration, some good, some bad, but we're going to focus today on Star Wars Celebration. It's going to skip 2024 and come back in 2025. This is no speculation. It was posted on the Star Wars website, and for the most part, the fans have been okay with it. Not a lot of complaining, which is what I would assume. How are you feeling about this news, Soti?
I don't mind. If I'm not mistaken, I think so. Is this celebration like every other year?
So I was
This-
thinking about it, but I think a couple of years ago, before COVID, I think they say it was going to be Star Wars Celebration one year and then D23 the other one, and they were going to be jumping each year. And I think because of COVID, they went with both back-to-back years, but now they're probably falling back on that plan. So no surprise.
Okay. Yeah. If they don't have anything to announce, then why do one? Like, I think it's totally fine.
Yeah, that's the other thing. If, let's say, they announce the new movies in this Star Wars Celebration, it comes out in 2025, as we all kind of imagine it will, there won't be a lot of news on 2024. Maybe the shows that I call Acolyte or Boba Fett Season 2 or something, but we don't need a celebration just for that. Wait till 2025, give us the trailer and everything for the new movie. It makes sense. And if we know for 2 years in advance, maybe we can plan something. And
yeah, and now that I think of it, 2024 is probably going to be my wedding year. So
see,
good that they're taking it off. So
I think that they knew about it. Say, they won't be able to join. Let's push it.
Yeah.
All right.
So Alberto, 2025 Orlando. How are we feeling about that?
So that's if they do 2025 Orlando, then I have 2 years to plan, and I'll be there regardless. 2 years, I can plan ahead.
Yeah. I saw Triad of the Force posting something that we said a while ago, but Star Wars Celebration San Juan. Like, come on, do it.
I say it will give me a reason to go visit the extended family over there. So.
Oh wow! Star Wars gave you a reason to come back home.
Yeah. Alberto, finally, after 5 years or 6 years, you're back home. Why? Well, there's Star Wars Celebration. I gotta hit
convention. I'm gonna be there.
Yeah. But let's say 2025 Orlando, and we go. I don't know if I want to be trying to get on the podcasting stage. I might just want to roam around. It's the first time there. I don't want the extra pressure.
I think I would go for it, honestly.
All right, we gotta start thinking of a.
Hey, I can do it on my own, and you walk around.
Oh well, screw you.
One-man show.
All right, we'll figure it out. If they say in a month and a half, whenever celebration is 2025, we're going to Orlando, we'll start planning.
I hope they announced it at the end of
I think that's what they always do, right? Like the Olympics.
I honestly can't remember.
Oh man, I just figured out that my ceiling fan is too low. It's in the lowest speed. It's not really giving me any air, so it's gonna be sweating in here today.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a hot day, but all right. Star Wars Celebration 2025. We're okay with it. It makes sense.
It's totally fine.
Yeah. All right. From there, let's jump to some Mandalorian news. We'll see. There's a lot of Mando talk out there this week. Again, it depends how you take it. Some people took it wrong, took it too far. Others are complaining the other way. There's a lot of stuff out there right now. Where are my notes? Star Wars news. Here we go. I'm going to ask first, and this is not confirmed. I don't know who posted this, but apparently the premiere for season 3 is only going to be 35 minutes long.
Let's talk about that, please.
Let's talk. You want to start?
I want to start.
All right.
So I just want to say I don't care. So, like, I'm done wishing for Mandalorian to do 1 hour episodes every week, like I was during the first season. The longest episode I think is the Marshall up to now, the season premiere for last season.
Yeah,
and that's honestly one of my least favorite episodes. So,
Cobb Vanth.
Cobb Vanth, great character. Timothy Olyphant. I hope he comes back. But that's not really one of my favorite episodes. So
okay.
I'm a firm believer that length doesn't equivalent quality. So if they think the story's 36 minutes, the story's 36 minutes. Sue me.
I will. The thing is, it's not 36 minutes because it's 5 minutes of credits. It's the first episode, so we are about 3 minutes of catching us up on what happened.
It's actually like 20 minutes.
We'll be closer to like 28 to 30. And I think for a premiere, I think that's pretty low, on the low end. I agree, and I have to get out of my headspace. Like you're saying, if you look on average, maybe 40 minutes at most for The Mandalorian for 2 seasons. So at this point to expect them to be 1 hour might be a little bit far-fetched, something that me as a fan have to get over it. But again, after coming from Andor, which most episodes were over 40 minutes, we did have some 30 minutes or something. I think one was maybe 29. That second episode was pretty short.
Yeah.
But all the other series that we've been watching recently have been that 1 hour. Not that it needs to be, but I don't know. I'm a little bummed that it's only 30-some minutes. But like you said, if the story only asks for 30-some minutes, then we'll take it. We'll complain afterwards. If it feels rushed, then we'll complain.
Yeah. But what I just want to mention is that it's just par for the course for what Mando is. It's been shorter episodes.
Yeah, and I know. We should be used to that already. Where am I going? All right, so the second Mandalorian news I want to cover today, we'll spend a little bit more time on this one. This is, I think it's total film. Jon Favreau has been doing the rounds, doing interviews in Europe, Spain, all these places over there. And he was asked, the Mandalorian Season 4 has also been confirmed. And I know you've said that you've written it. Are we getting close to an end point now? Do you have an ending in mind? And then Favreau's response has gotten a lot of talk in the Star Wars circles. And he goes on to say, no, I don't think. Let me start that again. He says, no, I don't. I think the beauty of this is that it's a middle chapter of a much longer story. And though we'll have resolution over time with these characters, I think that how these characters fit into the larger scope and scale, but it's not like there's a finale that we're building to that I have in mind. Quite the contrary, I love for these stories to go on. And so these characters potentially could be with us for a while, and I really love telling stories in their voice. And I love the way the adventures unfold, and I'm looking forward to doing much more. Oti, last week we talked a little bit about how Dave Filoni said he doesn't like hard endings, like stories to continue. I had my issues with the way that was phrased a little bit. And kind of similar here, and I see it two ways. But before, I'll give you my point first, if you don't mind. I want to hear yours. And again, everyone that's in the chat, let us know what you thought about these comments. I saw it two ways. One, I got a little bit of issue with it. The other way, I'm fine. Saying that he doesn't have an idea or a plan of how the Mandalorian show is going to end, I think at this point you should know. If you're 4 seasons into writing it, you should know what the end game is for that series. Not for all the characters, but I think you should know where the Mandalorian show is going to end. So for that part, I'm a little bit, come on, really? Especially with all the years of there was no plan for the sequel trilogy, that was a mistake, blah, blah, blah. But then the other point where he talks about that these characters can kind of live on other stories, I'm 100% on board with that. If the Mandalorian ends, let's say in season 5, and then 2 or 3 years from now on Skeleton Crew season 2, they're stranded on a weird planet, and it turns out to be Mandalore, and Din Djarin shows up, we're gonna lose our mind because we haven't seen him in 2 years, and it kind of propels that story. So in that point, give me those characters. I don't need them to die at the end of Mando. But again, like I said last week, I hope that the Mandalorian doesn't go for season 7, season 8. It's 2030 and we're still on Mandalorian season 9. I'm like, come on, you gotta end this now. So I say end the show, but the characters can live on in other stories. How do you see this?
Okay. I'm of two minds here so I retweeted something I tweeted out a couple of years ago that Favreau basically had no plan for Mandalorian, and I was like, oh, are we gonna complain about this time? And whatever. So the way I see it is like some TV shows don't really have a plan. They just keep going and they work. This usually happens more with comedies, for example, that you can keep on going.
Sure.
And sometimes being married to a plan isn't necessarily good. For example, I think How I Met Your Mother is a show that suffered from this because they definitely had a plan on how they wanted to end it. And I think those characters and the show evolved past that. So when you tried to bring us back to that, it was like, maybe you should have improvised a little bit. So I'm fine with them having or not having a plan as long as the story is consistent, which it has been at least for me so far. I do think he mentioned something about having little climaxes along the way. I don't know if you mentioned that when you read it, but I can't remember reading that.
Yeah, I think it's in a different question. He says something. He wants like each episode or something to have something to keep people talking. Something that happens that to keep people talking.
So I don't really. Again, I don't know. Maybe if you ask him, he's like, yeah, definitely. I don't see him saying Mandalorian's gonna have 25 seasons. What I do think is like maybe this story is gonna have an end, but the character story is still, like the original trilogy. That story ended, but the possibilities for Luke, Leia, and Han were endless. And we're at the same point with Rey. Like, yeah, that part of the story ended, but we know her journey is still ongoing, and eventually we'll get that story. So that's kind of the way I see it. I didn't really take that much issue with it. I was a little bit like frustrated with hearing like, yeah, we don't really have a plan in mind. And again, it's not about having everything outlined from day one or from now, but really, you guys don't know where we're gonna go with this.
Yeah, I read it, I don't know, like 3 or 4 times. The first time I was like, why? Of all the things to say, you're from Puerto Rico, you know all the sayings. The saying, what's the saying in Puerto Rico? Calladito te ves mejor, right?
Calladito te ves más bonito.
Yeah, the less you say, the better you look. Yeah. And sometimes like, dude, just promote the show. We don't need to hear all this. Because in this time frame, so much that he talks about, the audience is intelligent. They go to YouTube if they need to figure something out. They talk to each other. To be saying, yeah, we don't have a plan on how this is going to end, even if it's just worded wrong, it sounds people like us are going to be spending hours talking about it. But then when he mentions, like you said, these characters can live on in other stories, yes, great. That's what I want. And I'm 100% on board with that. And before we jump to the chat to see what they're saying, I wanted to end it with this because I've been complaining a little bit about Filoni and Favreau this couple of weeks, and I don't want to sound like I'm just a hater now. But you and a lot of people use this restaurant buffet kind of analogy with Star Wars. That
from Force Center.
Yes, Force Center put that out. There's a buffet. You can pick and choose what you like. So I have my own restaurant analogy for my issues with Favreau and Filoni. I go to this restaurant and I complain that the waiter is impolite. He doesn't treat us right. I complain about the kitchen because the food is too slow to get to us. Their service is too slow. But their food is so good that I'll keep coming back and back. So I complain about Filoni and Favreau so much because of what they say, but the product that they're giving me so far with Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, most likely with Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew, has been so good that I don't care. I'll complain, but the product, that steak always comes out right. Even if it takes 40 minutes, I'll come back for it.
You got me thinking. I always joke that I don't really like fast food restaurants at all, but I like Wendy's. I like Wendy's cheeseburger.
Yeah.
And, that's not my favorite cheeseburger. That's not there are way better cheeseburgers that I've ever had. But, when I want a cheeseburger, I always think of the Wendy's cheeseburger, and I always complain that it hurts my belly. It's not the best burger ever, but hey, every time I'm craving a cheeseburger, I think of Wendy's. So.
Yeah, it is. So I complain about it, but every episode has been good.
There I am doing the line.
Yeah, I'll be there every Wednesday. I'll be there. All right. So what is the chat saying before we move on?
Okay, so we got Michael here from.
To Michael. Hi, thanks for being here.
Dale's also in the chat. So Michael says, why do people care? If the content is good, write it a season ahead. I agree. If it's good, if it's good, I don't care how the sausage is made.
You don't care how that Wendy's cheeseburger is made. That's amazing.
Yeah, and Dale says, watch Star Wars like you're 11 years old and don't worry about how it all works. Exactly. Don't ask how the sausage is made.
All right.
Roberto says, lie to us and have a general idea of where they're going.
Yeah. And I think I'm pretty sure that they have an idea. Again, I complain with Filoni. Filoni thinks like 20 years ahead. I'm sure he has an idea how all this is going to end. It's just weird that he said, I don't know.
I'm thinking of if Kathleen Kennedy did a joint interview or something, and she got asked the questions first, she probably would have been like, "Yeah, Dave and Jon have crafted the story, that they know exactly where it's heading," and then Jon's like, "I have no idea where we're going with this."
Because it's the same thing for the movies. They said, we have a plan now. We know it's a 5-year dedication. We have to map everything out. Hey, Jon, how's it going? That will figure it out. Who cares?
Yeah. Again, and I don't think a plan is necessary as long as you stay consistent with your storytelling and true to the characters.
All right. We won't have a lot to wait to find out as The Mandalorian returns in 4 days. So I can't believe it's here already. It's rolled up pretty quickly.
I can't believe I'm going to have to wake up early on Wednesday.
Sorry. Get a lot of sleep this weekend. All right, so let's jump to the other segment. And there's some other celebration news I'm not going to jump into. We'll see if we get live streams.
Well, why does everyone think there's not going to... Because you're not the only one who is... No, we're going to stay here. Why do you think there's not going to be any live streams?
So...
Was it that sentence?
I don't know. Article? So Reed Pop, which I'll say, I don't know what the hell Reed Pop does. They give tickets or live streams. I don't know. Reed Pop went to say... on Twitter somewhere, I guess someone asked them a question. Oh, checking, there's no YouTube live stream for Star Wars Celebration at this point. And people freaked out. Oh, that's confirmation that they won't do any live streams. And that was last night around 10 o'clock or something. So I saw it this morning.
So I remember
it's too far away for me to start speculating about that.
I remember last year people were speculating that there wasn't going to be a live stream because they didn't drop the link for the live stream ahead of time. And we know that the opening panel wasn't streamed, but I remember that the link for the stream dropped like at the last minute. Dropped, and then we all joined. So I'm expecting it to be this. Again, I've seen every Star Wars Celebration for the past years on the stream. So if they don't stream it, I'm gonna be very pissed.
Yeah, like a lot of us. I'll say I saw someone from up there in London or England saying that also the time difference might be an issue because
I don't care.
If this happens when it's, I don't know, 5 or 6 in the afternoon in England, it will be like 4 in the morning here, or I don't know where.
It's like a 5-hour difference.
Yeah, so I think it depends on what time that happens over there. I always thought it was going to be earlier, like maybe 10 or 11 o'clock England time. It'll be like 9 or 10 here, or if it's 2 in the afternoon, it'll be 10 in the morning here, which makes sense. I know some people will be at work, but I think that's what it was when
I take the day
2016.
Off. Yeah.
Yeah, because we got in 2016, we got some panels, and I think it was between 10, 11, 12 in the
2016
morning.
Was the
Rogue One, right?
Yeah, that was the one I skipped. So I have no idea.
And I want to say that 10, 11 in the morning, I was watching panels.
Okay.
So it did stream.
Office. It did stream last time.
Yes. And I think it'll be the same that we'll get those streams, but we won't get the trailers and all the big reveals that they...
Which I'm fine. I mean, it sucks, but I'm fine with it.
Yeah, and that's what they usually do. And again, this is in April. We're a month and a couple of weeks away. Like you said, last time it dropped that same day, the link. So that's why I'm not putting too much stock into this at this moment. All right.
Oh, so Michael got a little bit grumpy. As someone who has been in Celebration, sorry if you don't go, you miss out. I mean, yeah, I get that. Like, I'm all for people there getting exclusives, but come on, like, not. I mean, I wish I could go, but I've told you a billion times why I can't go, so it's hard. So
that's why
they give us something.
Yeah, 2025 Orlando gives you 2 years. If it's in Orlando, let me say, gives you 2 years to start asking for those days off, even if it's impossible.
I'll tell you what, if they announce it at the end of London, and it's in Orlando, I'll go straight to my company's HR portal and separate those days for personal days.
Yeah, and that's also between March and May. It's a very busy time at my work. We do inspections, and that's our quarterly for the spring ones. So I gotta ask for them also pretty early on.
Okay.
All right, so let's move to another segment. Let's talk about TV. Right. And that went a little bit before I stopped talking. Let's talk about Bad Batch episode 10, Retrieval. Hopefully you didn't fall asleep on this one.
No, I didn't.
So the second part, the group has been separated from the Marauder. They're on this planet looking for Ipsion that Sid sent them. And here they're trying to find their ship. Ote, did you enjoy this episode? Was this filler?
It was
Did you
1,000% filler.
did you enjoy the wage theft that 10-year-olds got to live through the Bad Batch?
I liked the episode. I thought it felt way longer than it was.
Yeah.
For at least for me, and that I was like, is this like a special 40-minute episode? I was like, oh no, it's only been 17 minutes. But I had fun with it. I don't have much to say about it. Like, it was fun, and I like spending time with Omega, and it was a pretty Omega centric episode. So
and it was a good episode. Nothing out of the ordinary. If you enjoyed the previous one, you probably enjoyed this one. Nothing. I didn't hate it. I'm not gonna say that nothing happened because a lot of stuff happened inside the show. Gave Hunter a little bit more to do. He had been in the background past couple of episodes, so at least he was a little bit front and center with the action. Like the characters. Didn't like that the bad boss was called Moko. Because every time
that was a very Saturday morning cartoon guy.
Yeah. Just stuffing his face with food. No, we don't have any food for anyone. But again, it's an episode you could not see on the Clone Wars with Anakin and Ahsoka going to a planet and seeing that the people are being taken advantage of. Yeah. We've seen this type of episode before. Maybe not in the kind of waste there for food or whatever. But we've seen this type of episode before. Good for the Bash to get their ship back. Thanks to Gonki for being a big part of this. And
he was.
Yeah.
Again, it was a perfectly fine Star Wars animated show episode.
Yeah. Oh, we'll see. I'm surprised we haven't gotten half of the season trailer for the second part. But
whatever. I was gonna mention, like, saying it's filler, it's just flat out wrong because it does move the plot forward. Yeah. I don't know if anyone's saying it's filler, but just wanted to mention this because they get their ship back. We didn't get Sid's. I had this funny thought of Sid arriving at the planet, being like, "Hey, where the hell are these guys?" I moved everything to come here and get them, and they're not here.
Yeah, just come with the whole battalion, like 3 battleships and everything, and they're just gone. It's like at the end of Peacemaker when all the superheroes show up and he's already done.
He's done.
Man, as you were saying that, I was gonna say something. I just forgot. It was a good comment, but.
Oh, sorry.
I guess not. Let me think. I don't have it. All right, so let's move on, I guess, to our main topic of today, which is the Bad Batch. Is not a main topic. That's what we just talked about. It's the High Republic Phase 2 so far, because we're not done with the High Republic. We're getting close to the end of Phase 2, Oti. It's been almost a year. You have the Battle of Jedha. I see Convergence. I see Path of Deceit. And then almost next month, at the beginning of April, we're getting Cataclysm by Lydia Kang. And then Path of Destruction, is it?
Path of Vengeance.
Path of Vengeance by Kevin Scott, the great Kevin Scott, coming back to write the finale. All right, Oti, we haven't talked about High Republic Phase 2 since it started. You're still at the end of Battle of Jedha. It came out as an audio drama last month, and they just released the script a couple of weeks ago, maybe last week.
Yeah.
All right, so as we jump into it, and we'll go book by book, but first, let's just write in. Phase 2, we were so pumped with Phase 1. It was hitting on all cylinders, and at the end of that last book, Midnight Horizon, Yoda comes out and says, to understand what's happening, we gotta go back to the past. I was so hyped for that. Like, yes, this makes sense now.
It was a perfect setup.
Perfect setup. We go back, 100 years, 150 years into the past, and we get Phase 2, starting with Path of Deceit. But just in general, so far, Your thoughts on Phase 2 of the High Republic?
I think it has been good. I don't think it has been as good as Phase 1. I've had a hard time connecting with the characters, which means I've had a hard time reading the books. Convergence took me forever. Path of Deceit took me forever. And now I'm going through Battle of Jedha. I did not read Quest to Planet X, I think was the first. No, Quest for the Hidden City was the first young reader. I have not read that one. So I think it's kind of when Phase 1 started, we knew we were in the middle of an initiative that was 3 phases long. We didn't know how it was going to play out, but we knew we were meeting characters that we were going to be with for a while, and that they were going to keep on popping up in different books. And here, it's kind of different because we know Phase 2 ends this year and Phase 3 kicks off. So we know that as much as I like Gela, there's not much story I'm going to get with her for now. As much as I liked Creighton's son, there's not much story I'm going to get with him. So I'm finding myself, it's hard for me to connect with the characters, and it's not a diss against the writing of these books, because I think they've been very consistent in the quality. But I think it wasn't maybe the best choice to say, like, hey, we're going to go back in time, but just for a little while. For, less than a year we're going to spend, and then we'll come back to the main story. I think we should have maybe spent a little more time here with this era and this moment, because I do think it's interesting. But again, and there's also been a change where these books are way more character focused than the Phase 1 books. So again, we're focusing on characters that I'm having a hard time connecting with. So I don't know.
Yeah. And I'll echo a lot of what you said. We'll start with, these are very character-driven stories. There's no big overarching battle or big action that we're kind of shooting towards for. Each book is very character-driven, that you need to connect with those characters. And I've connected with those characters in the books that we're at, but unfortunately for myself, this phase, each book is great individually, but as a cohesive unit, meshing with the Phase 1, I'm finding it lacking. Because there's not a lot of connections between books. Now that you're in Battle of Jedha, then it connects a little bit with Convergence, because it's a follow-up after what happens in Convergence. But almost nothing that happened on Path of Deceit has been brought up. 2 Jedi die on Path of Deceit. A different Jedi found one of them dead, found the robe and the dust.
And nothing happened with it.
We've never heard the name Kefmo Sink again. We haven't heard Salamakri again. And what's the name of the Jedi that found them?
Was it
Aslin Rel? Sorry?
I thought it was Creighton's son.
No. I double-checked this morning.
Okay.
Jedi Knight Aslin Rel, which is at the beginning of the book and then at the end finds the robe. We've never heard anything about it. Why? Why haven't we? So that's what I like. Path of Deceit was a great book. I love Kefmo Sink. I love that he flirts with everyone. Once he meets Marda Rowe, he starts, oh crap, what's going on? And same for Marda. I'm supposed to hate the Jedi, but I feel this attraction until he uses the Force. But nothing. So that unison that we had in Phase 1, I'm not seeing here. So like you said, nothing against the authors, because each book has been great. For myself, just individually. And again, we still have 2 books to go, so we'll see how they end up. And these 2 we know are going to be pretty consistent with what has come before.
Yeah, no, I think I totally agree with you, and I'm okay like being patient, but it's getting a little hard to connect with it. I will say that when at the end of Convergence and getting a little bit into spoilers, when they're like, we should sign the treaty in Jedha, I was like, oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. It's brilliant because I knew the other book was going to be in Jedha, so I was like, oh, you sneaky bastards.
And it's cool because it's called the Battle of Jedha, and then you jump to Rogue One, and there's the Jedi statues on the floor. What happened? The battle. So it's leading up to that. And maybe we talk a little bit about Battle of Jedha. I'll spoil a little bit for you, but So before we jump into the books, and this is something should have left for the end, but I'll just say now just in case I forget. I think the biggest problem I'm having so far with this phase is that the story that they're telling, I don't think necessitated a whole phase of books to tell.
I'm leaning that way also.
If the idea of going back to the past was just to show how the Rowe family doesn't trust the Jedi and how they got their hands on the leveler, you could do that in one book or in a comic series, which I thought the Markion Rowe comic series, that was only two issues. I thought that was going to be the reason why we didn't really find anything about his past and that he's hatred of Jedi. Doing a whole phase just to show, and the Path of the Open Hands hates the Jedi, and I'm sure they're going to kill someone in Martha's family and she's going to be pissed, and then it goes into whatever. You don't need it, that. Especially take us a year and a half away from all these other characters and story that we're all so connected to. I don't think it's the best choice. But again, it hasn't ended. We're like 3/4 of the way in, so we'll see how it finishes.
And also, like, at first, I thought that maybe Convergence was gonna. I thought that the Path of Deceit and Path of Vengeance were gonna be like the whole Markion Rowe and how his family came to hate the Jedi, and then I thought, okay, maybe Convergence and Cataclysm is the other one, will be like the political background on how we got to where we are. And Convergence really wasn't that. Maybe Cataclysm will, but I'm finding myself agreeing with you. Like, I don't think a whole phase was a necessity, but if they thought it was, okay, cool.
Maybe it was to give the authors enough time, the original authors enough time to keep writing phase 3, and then just because it takes a long time to write those books, and then just do something else. But let's talk about Path of Deceit a little bit, and we'll just kind of go back and forth a little bit between each book. I really enjoyed Path of Deceit. Like I said, my biggest kind of concern when Phase 2 was announced, and we went back 100 years, is it going to feel like the High Republic, or is this going to feel totally different? And to me, it felt like perfect. This book could have been made in Phase 2 and just said, this happened like 50 years ago. It felt perfect. Justina Ireland and Tessa Granton teamed up for this book. Also was all 2 authors. I haven't read a book with 2 authors, and they were kind of, each one did a chapter and then came back to the next one. I think they worked great together. The story flew perfectly. I know Convergence is a book that takes a lot of time to get through. Path of Deceit, I went through it pretty quickly. It was a great read, great characters, and a story that I really enjoyed. And it was different for all the stories we were getting to kind of the last 30 pages before the Leveler shows up. It was a very different Star Wars story, more of a kind of a romantic story between Kefmo and Martha. And then the Leveler shows up and kills everyone.
That's like my kind of book. And I had a hard time getting into it because of that beginning, how different it was, and how it was Romeo and Juliet, basically. I was like, where are we going with this? Like, the mother's shady, but these people are hippies. Like, where are we going with this? And all of a sudden, and that's why I say it's like my kind of book. It just pulls the rug right under you. Like, things happen in Dalna. Things start happening to Yana Rowe and her mission, and it all collides into this big mess of an ending that I just loved. Path of Deceit has been my favorite story so far of Phase 2, and it's been one of my favorite High Republic books, probably.
All right. I think I lean to Convergence a little bit more for this phase, for different reasons, but Path of Deceit was a great start. Let's talk about the new big bad, and I think it's another drop of going from the Nile and Markion Rowe to the Path of the Open Hand and the Mother. I hate the Path of the Open Hand. And not like we're talking before about Cocaine Bear, it's so bad that it's good or whatever. You love to hate it. I just hate them because I hate cults. I've never been a part of a cult. But when you read those stories, how can people fall for this, right? It looks so stupid. But the people inside understand what happens. But it's everyone on the outside. And I won't spoil too much, but in Battle of Jedha.
No, spoil it. Go.
Okay, when we get to Battle of Jedha, we'll get there. It's like, come on, I read 2 pages. This is a cult. Why are people falling for this?
I mean, but they openly say it's a cult.
I know. Dude, just don't use the Force to save a mother and their babies. What did you do? Because the Force needs to be free. A gift, freely given. Shut up. Makes no sense.
Favorite moment that made me go like, what? Was when Marta finds Kevmo dead.
Yeah.
And she knows it was the mother, and she's like, it was the Jedi. They corrupted him. And then in Battle of Jedha, there's a moment like, he died because he used the Force too much. What? Like, no.
He used the Force to save not the mother. I can't remember the species that had like 3 babies and they could change.
They were drowning.
Yeah. Oh, you used the Force, but why would you do that? Something else is gonna happen, and we don't know. Oh, you died. See, the Force brought balance back.
It was the Jedi. They corrupted him.
Like, so, Marta, no. And that's why Yana Rowe is my favorite character of that book, because she knows everything, and
that's why Marta's so dangerous, and that's why I love her, because that's what the Herald says. Like, this is all BS, but she believes it. So, and it reflects our real world, how some people believe some things are happening, and the people in the know, the grifters, are like, let's let them have their fun because it pushes our agenda forward. So,
well, that's not happening right now, can it?
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know. It's Star Wars. Star Wars is all fake. But again, that's why I like, dude, just because I see it in real life, I'm like, how can people fall for this? And it's like, dude, it's so stupid. Don't believe all that. But again, that's why I like Yana, because she's like telling Marta, dude, the mother is not what she seems. We're not. I can't. What's the word that she uses when they get the artifacts? Like liberating them. No, we're stealing them. We're flat out stealing and killing. I'm gonna go steal something now.
And Marta, Yana returns, and she's like, the mother killed my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. She killed my team. She tried to kill me. Let's get out of here. And Marta's like, no.
I want to be a children. I wanted so bad for Yana to kill the mother. I knew it wasn't going to happen. But then the Herald, his daughter got killed. And he's like, oh, we got to bide our time. So we'll see. That's still going on. So we'll see. Hopefully it comes back.
The Herald's like a real world politician. Like,
yes. And you'll see in Battle of Jedha, he does something. I'm like, oh, come on, you're just as bad as them. All right. So then we jump to Convergence. And this is Zoraida Cordova. Give it up for the Hispanics out there. Does a great book, but this is very different from Path of Deceit. Still very character focused, because Path of Deceit was Kevmo, Marta, Yana still figuring out where their future was going to be. Mm-hmm. And here we have, what are their names? Siri Albani and Fantu Zen. Similar journeys, but breaking away from what they've been told or should believe. And same with Gelanatai as a Jedi, then deciding to be a way seeker, kind of finding their own ways away from what they've grown into. So again, very character, finding their own path. I loved all that. Chapters are a little bit longer to what we used to, so that's why it takes a little bit longer to read. Very different story. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it more because we were focusing on these characters that I enjoy more. I love Gela. I want to get more with her. You know, I love my Jedi Way Seekers. And I love that we finally got to see the Eriono and Eriam Forever War that we've been hearing for years. So it was great to finally see what that was all about. General thoughts on Convergence, Oti?
I like Convergence. It's probably one of my least favorite High Republic books, but I still liked it. I like what the book had to say, especially to what you were going with, that we don't necessarily have to follow in what came before. We can carve our own way forward.
Yeah.
I love the character of Gela. I'm still wishing her and Axel get together, because that had me like throughout the whole book, like, come on, just make out.
They're coming back. Cataclysm is coming back.
Yeah, and I think Fantu is in the cover of that one, so we'll see, because how his own story ended, I was like, wait, what? So, but I liked it. I have a similar issue to it than I had with what was the second young adult book, the one Justina wrote?
Out of the Shadows.
Out of the Shadows. I thought these two books had cool ideas and great themes, but they were like constantly hammering them home, and I was like, this book could have been a little bit shorter and cut on different examples to prove your thesis statement for the themes, because constantly like going back to people who don't believe in the truths and the I was like, how many people do we have to meet to, you know, I don't know. For me, it was a little bit longer than it had to be, but it was still a good book with great Star Wars moments in it.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're absolutely right. I said here when I did my review of Out of the Shadows, it goes on a little bit too long and repeats some of the same beats. And you're right, this one, how many times does someone need to say, I don't believe in this marriage, we're going to attack and you got to fight? It does that a lot of times. So I do understand what you're saying. There's a lot of twists and turns here, maybe one too many. But
it had me on the edge of my seat. When it's revealed that Axel's working with the mother, I literally sat up, was like, what?
Yeah. The Coruscant Prince, Axel Greylark, which everyone that ships people love shipping him. He's a great character because you don't know.
He was good. I found him a little bit annoying at the beginning, but I grew to like him.
What it should be. That's what's the point. But because you don't know, because halfway he'll turn good, and then no, actually he won't.
No.
Is he telling the truth? And then he during this fighting pit and throws Gela in this barbarian battle pit.
And I like that he does the good thing to rescue her, but he's not necessarily redeemed. He just has the hots for her.
Yeah, I mean, and again, Jedi kill my father, so I gotta hate them a little bit.
Yeah, I will say it reminded me of watching Pirates of the Caribbean, the third one. The wedding during a battle, that was very cool. And them ending the wedding, it's like, let's go fight, and Siri jumps into a ship and here we go.
I love that they kind of played around with the idea of these arranged marriages, because you expect that to be from their parents to say, oh, I want you to marry them, and then, but no, it's them.
I love that.
And that it came from her to say, the only way we're gonna be able to put an end to this, if we just forget about the war, our people are suffering on both sides, let's just get married and figure it out. And the other guy, Fantus, like, okay, let's give it a shot. And it looks like they fall in love. It's not just they're gonna break up or whatever. But I did enjoy that little play on it.
Sarita tried to do the "I love you, I know" when they get married, and he's like, "Oh, I'm in love with you," and she's like, "Good."
Yeah, I mean, Shiri Alborani is a great character.
I loved her. She's awesome.
All right, and we saw a little bit more how the Republic works with two chancellors. We have Chancellor Motto that wants to be the face of the Republic. It was me who ended the war and brought them into the Republic. And then you have Chancellor Greylark I want to just be on Coruscant, deal with the politicians. Yeah. What are you doing there? They got to resolve their own problems. Yeah. So I like seeing that and see how it plays going forward. It's going to be interesting.
I would like to see if we see the end of that in Phase 2. I hope so. But...
Yes, and I'll tell you, in Battle of Jedha, we still don't know. So hopefully for the last two, that comes back into play to see, because I don't think that's going to end well for one of them.
No, and they don't really get along that well.
No, it's just
you don't
show.
Trust me.
And I think no.
So, but that was interesting, and seeing like Irem and Arono being like, hey, we don't hate the Republic, but we don't want to join you.
Yeah, I mean, it's as colonies, we've said this before, it's like, we've been through that. And Aram and Arono is like, you can help us, but then you can leave. So just to end, do you think, because this book, not that it ends, but we find out that one of the rulers, I think of Aram, I forget the name, Fantu's mother, has worked with the Path of the Open Hand, provided them with this poison from the scorpions to do this poisonous gas. Is this the same gas that the Nile use?
I can't remember the name, but Interesting. I didn't really think about this. The War Cloud.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully, that's a
Yeah.
cool catch. Actually,
I'm gonna say yes. Because
I
why would it be there? Come on, they have this weird poison that makes you gag, and I
yeah.
think it's the same.
I loved, by the way, that relationship. How she started she started accepting the mother's help because it was a gift freely given, until suddenly it wasn't.
Yep. Nothing is free. And also, man, the Path of the Open Hand. The thing, when the Path of the Open Hand was revealed, not revealed, but mentioned, when Phase 2 was announced, and they said there's a new cult or a new group out there that views the Force different than the Jedi, the Sith, I was over the moon. This is what I want. Give me someone else that uses the Force differently or views the Force differently. And then I didn't like what we got.
But I like them. Again, I don't like them, but I like them as an antagonist.
All right, I'm okay with them. I'm not 100% on board.
They're basically the Nile Junior.
Maybe that's why I grew too accustomed to the now.
Okay.
But every time I hear that a gift freely given, I do enjoy that because it's not freely given. We know there's something behind it. All right, Battle of Jedha. I did the audiobook, the audio Battle of Jedha. Thanks.
Quick story. I told you. I got the hardcover this week, and when I ended Convergence, I was like, okay, I gotta get into Battle of Jedha, and totally forgot it was an audio drama. I started reading it, and
that is a weird format.
Yeah, like that's what makes it so weird. Like I started reading the script, and I was like, yeah, and all of a sudden, like, wait, I have this on Audible. Again, rough weeks at work. It's my brain is working like at a 50% capacity.
We'll let you be. So Josh Mann writes this, and like you mentioned, veteran from Star Wars stories. Like you mentioned, Convergence kind of ends saying, "Oh, we're going to Jedha to sign this peace treaty." It's not gonna go well. I really enjoyed this. It might be my least favorite of the phase so far.
Okay.
Which I don't know. It's difficult to rank these books, at least for myself. But it's a great story, especially in audio format, audio drama, because you have all the different voice casts, which all do a great job. Creighton's son has this very deep, booming voice, and Ada Forte kind of brings him down. Cilandra's show, come on, I love her so much. And the droid, if you hear the droid, CP3 or something like that, he's annoying at first.
Okay.
Because he just talks in all these Jedi proverbs. But by the end of it, I love the character. And I think in audio format, it might work better than just reading it. But in audio, he works great.
They say something that he only speaks in religious proverbs or something like that. I can't remember the exact phrasing, but I found that funny.
Yeah, because at the end, it kind of starts, it gives you those great Star Wars quotes that I love. Okay. A good story. I like the character of Creighton's son. Cilandra's show, I love. I think she showed up either on the comics or maybe on...
I have not read the comics.
I haven't, but maybe she was on Quest for the Hidden City. I know she's been on somewhere before, but this is the first time that I've read her. I loved her from the moment she showed up. Again, I think it's the ending. I was like, I don't know.
I want to ask you a question because I remember when Tempest Runner came out, I loved reading it. But at the end, I was like, was this necessary? Because the book ends in the same place where it begins. Like, you don't really have to explain much of what happened there to carry on the story because Lauren at the end's in the same place. Does the same thing happen here, or does this story have more lasting impact on what's coming?
No, it has a very lasting impact. Okay. What happens here should throw us straight into Cataclysm. So it's not that. Okay. Tempest Runner was just a Lorna D story. Like you say, it doesn't move the actual phase one story forward, but if you like the character, then I love that book just because I really enjoyed it. I like it. Yeah. And this book, like I said before, that I've been missing that connection between the phases, like I said, or between the books. This one works great, or works pretty good with Convergence, but it's a great setup now for Cataclysm.
Okay.
Because finally, by the end, the Jedi maybe the Path of the Open Hand is not as good as they've been saying. I think we need to check on them because
Maybe.
they've been involved in everything.
So
So finally, they're starting to see what happens, and Gela Nata is a little bit in this book, kind of in the background, and she said, "Oh,
yeah, up to where she had been there a couple times."
yeah," and she said, "Okay, I gotta go find this Axel Greylark guy and see what he knows about the path." So that's where they're gonna come back, and they're hopefully gonna kiss in that book.
Okay, yeah, because at the end of the epilogue of Convergence, he's like, "Can't stop thinking about her."
Oh, he's such a loser. He's on the hook, like they said in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Um,
I had another question for. Oh, okay. So you keep talking about how it connects to Convergence, but from what I had read so far, it was also bringing in elements from Path of Deceit. Do they like stop at some point and like sticks closer to Convergence, or?
What I mean that it kind of brings Convergence into this is because it's the follow up to, oh, they're married,
Yeah.
but there's not, that piece is not official. We gotta sign this treaty. But like you said, that a lot of the time in Convergence is seeing how all these people still don't believe in the marriage or in peace. That plays a big role here. There's a lot. If there's a lot of times that, oh, we're gonna sign that peace treaty, there's a bomb in here. Oh, we gotta pull back. And it's the Jedi's fault. It's this guy's fault. Okay, we're gonna do this. Oh no, this person died. Santeca, I love you. Sorry, he's gonna die. The Santeca is gonna die. And who's gonna replace them? The Graf guy, because the Santeca and the Graf has been at war more than Aram and Erono. And then they're working with the Path of the Open Hand and the Mother. So that comes into play.
Okay.
So, and that's cool. But it kind of happens too often that we're ready to sign. No, we gotta postpone. Just sign the freaking document. And they tell you so many. Go ahead.
No. Finish.
I'm sure you've read it already. They tell you so many times that, oh, it doesn't matter what these ambassadors want. The king and queen already said that it's going to happen, so they have to sign. You know they're not going to sign. Something's going to happen.
So do they sign the treaty at the end?
They don't sign the treaty, are they?
They're still at war?
Yes. Because the ambassador to Aram, I think it is. Let me see if I put it on my notes. Yeah, the ambassador Syrax of Aram, he didn't want peace. He was there. Okay, he brought his fleet for a reason. And when the bombings happen, he's on this. He's on it with the Graf guy that replaces the Santeca. So they didn't want peace. And it's like, I don't care what they say. They don't know what they're saying. Peace is not going to happen. So no, they don't sign the treaty. It's basically
going to be like a civil war.
Yes. And we know, but in phase 1, they're still fighting. So we know it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Interesting. I just wanted to mention that they did like this Marvel thing that usually after an Avengers, there's another big threat. And you're like, where are the other Avengers? Oh, they're off doing something. Yeah. And they did the same thing here because I don't know if they come to Jedha later, but Fantu and I was like, aren't Fantu and Shiri gonna show up? This is kind of like a big deal. And they're like, no, they're at the reconstruction efforts. And was that more important than this?
It's important because they're not there to be able to say, no, you gotta sign. So they never show up. And I think at the beginning they say, oh, the communications are shut. We can't get in touch with them. That's still happening. So they don't know what's happened. Right?
Every time I do, I get a little bit annoyed when this happens, but it's like they're not there because the script can't have them there.
So that's basically it. The communications are bad everywhere. They're able to get communications to Coruscant. And so the Battle of Jedha starts. I'm going to spoil part of it for you. So the battle starts. And I hate the way that it started, but it goes back to the Path of the Open Hand, saying they've been there for a couple of months. There's a lot of Force sects out there, which I love getting to learn a lot more about each one. That was great. And the Path wants to be the new one to join this convocation of the Force. And they're not allowed in. They tell the Herald goes in and he's told no. So he walks out and just starts blabbing from some steps. Oh, the convocation doesn't want us here. They're evil. Everything that happens has been their fault because the Jedi are here. And then the whole of Jedha believes it. And they go to war against the Jedi because one guy said that they didn't let him in. And I'm like, no, this makes zero sense. And that's why I say, why are people following the path of the open hand? Because what they say makes no sense to get so many people riled up.
I mean, I literally just started the book a couple of days ago, but it's they do like show you that the Jedi are kind of like the lesser of the groups there. Like people don't really think that much of them. So,
but that changes when you get more with the guidance of the wheels, and I think the Church of the Force are the other ones, and they start working with the Jedi. But there's something happens. I don't know if you've been where some dogs get loose. Are you gonna? So the Path of the Open Hand is there with some of their kids and some other people because they're getting ready for this big celebration. And there's a vendor there with some, maybe Corellian hounds or something.
Okay.
And they told you, don't mess with the dogs because they're dangerous. Well, the kid goes and opens it, and they go on a rampage. And of course, they blame the Jedi because this happened when the Jedi were here. But the Path of the Open Hand came back to help a little bit. Oh, no, they're the saviors. So, but also I give it because the Jedi are not supposed to intervene. They're just there kind of as peacekeepers. So they're trying not to intervene and show their hand. I don't know. To me, it's just, how can people believe everything the Path of the Open Hand says? But by the end of the book, I mean, the leveler shows up.
Oh.
I'll give you one. He doesn't kill. No Jedi dies here.
Okay.
By the leveler. Silandra show gets close because she starts feeling cold and something's happening. I'm like, no, don't kill her. She gets out of there. She's like, this doesn't feel good, and eats it out. So thank you, George Mann, for not killing Silandra. So it'll be interesting to see your thoughts on it once you finish. But it's a good setup for what's coming out with Cataclysm, because now the Jedi know. And it's all leading to Dalna, because they now know that the path original...
Do the Jedi know about the leveler, by the way? Or
no. They know that there's something wrong. Because I think earlier in this book, when things start going wrong and Silandra shows up, she goes to investigate because Creighton's son and Aida Fortes is out there with Adam and Aeronaut. They need to stay away from the investigation. So that's why Silandra's there, and she goes to visit the mother and the path. And when she's in the, I don't know what the name is, on the little cave, when the mother is, she feels cold and something, she feels sick basically. And then, but she gets out of there. And later in the book, she starts feeling the same. And then she kind of, this is the same feeling I had when I was with the mother and the Path of the Open Hand. There's something going on with them. At the end of the book, the leveler is running wild on Jedha. I don't think they caught him. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, maybe that's wild.
Maybe Saw Gerrera keeps them generations later.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see what happens. Once you finish, just let us know your thoughts real quick on it. And then Cataclysm looks interesting because we'll get Gel and Natai again. We'll get Axel Greylock. And also, I believe we'll get Fantu and Siri again. So
I'm excited for Path of Vengeance. I think that's going to be the conclusion.
That's going to be the one.
To Marda, so let's see.
Yeah,
the cover, very creepy looking.
Very creepy, with some levelers on the side. Kevin Scott has become one of my favorite Star Wars writers, so I'm very pumped for that one. All right, so that's the High Republic Phase 2 so far. So it's been a good phase individually. Each book has been pretty interesting, but I'm missing my guys, my Jedi, my Nile. I'm missing everything from Phase 1.
Hoping Phase 2 picks it up a little bit.
Yeah.
It has not been bad. I think it just needs a little bit more of a.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get that beginning of April when Cataclysm shows up. All right, Ote, and with that, we jump to another section of our show when we don't talk about Star Wars, we talk about something else, and it is a world between fandoms. That's it. You're gonna play it? I can't hear it.
Nah, doesn't sound that good.
Yeah, you're gonna plug that.
Yeah.
All right, so we got episode, what was it? Episode 7 or episode 6 now of
Episode 7.
episode 7. What we got? Like two more? Two more to go,
Yeah.
I think.
No, wait. This was 6. We have 2 more.
6. Okay.
Or 3 more. 3 more.
Yes, 9. So The Last of Us. I told you, I tweeted it out. I think it's my favorite episode so
Me
far.
too. Me
From beginning to end. We start, and I don't know how we're going to talk about it. It just starts very fun, very entertaining.
Those first 16 minutes of the story were new.
Okay,
they're
so
not
that
in the book.
I guess
the
Native
couple.
American couple there. He comes back with the 2 rabbits that he hunted. You got him there? Oh, there's Ellie. I love them. I love everything that they did. I love their tone. Yes, I made him soup. Why? Because it's cold. He didn't shoot me. I got eyes. Did you tell him the truth? Are you telling me the truth? Yeah. I just love them. Their demeanor was great.
It was awesome. I totally agree. I was laughing and Joel trying to play it cool and Ellie's like, "Can I come down now?"
Like, no, say it. We just goes throughout the whole show. She doesn't, not that she doesn't respect him, but she's not gonna just stay back because he said so.
And Ellie's stealing the rabbits when they leave. Like
she took one. Yeah, it's like, just leave it. He can hunt. Oh, sorry. Oh. And also, when she says, "Oh, just teach me to hunt," then, and he's like, "You'll be fine with the hunting. It's just that cleaning up part." When he comes back at the end, when he's showing her how to use the rifle, which is not that good, but it comes back. But that scene with the dog, once they reach the river, come on, I know she's not gonna die there. Well, like, what the hell is gonna? I was pretty nervous. Did something from the game? I should start because we always start. How close was this to the game? Was it?
Okay. So it's funny because it was very close. It was basically same things happened, but the setting was different, and the setting was different because we never go to Jackson in the game. We go to Jackson in the second game, but in the first one we see it in the distance. They talk about it. They're like, "Oh yes, you can come," and they're like, "No, we gotta go." So that was, in that sense, it was different, but basically the same points happened. The show gives you a little bit more context to everything, and
sure.
For example, in the game, when Tommy and Joel talk, he's like, "You have to take her," because this is not what he says, but it's basically a sentiment. I'm the older brother, and you have to do what I say. There's not this whole thing of he does because that conversation with Ellie is basically the same as in the game, but he doesn't open up to Tommy in the same way he does here, and so that was. I like that they did that here. Another key change that has me like going crazy is in the game, Tommy and Maria never have a son or baby.
Okay.
And that throws me off thinking of how the second game plays out, because as I've mentioned, Tommy is very important in the game. I'm like, how is everything gonna happen with this thing here? So we'll see.
All right, we'll go. Let me say before we keep going, Roberto has to leave. Thanks for joining us, Roberto. We are all the way from Britain. Dr. Matt Studio, thanks for joining us. Hopefully things are doing great over there. He's saying he's caught up with the Bad Batch. We talked about the Bad Batch a little bit earlier. We're kind of finished our Star Wars talk, talking a little bit about The Last of Us now. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Matt Studio. So I'll say, that scene that you said that's not in the game was my favorite scene in this whole episode. That talk between Joel and Tommy, both of them. The first one that they have in this little diner, actually in the bar, when he's trying to tell him why he needs help, and Tommy's like, "I'm gonna have a kid. I can't deal with it." But at the end, yeah. But the ending when he's trying to fix his shoes, and because Joel, you can say, is the epitome of toxic masculinity, right? He's the alpha. He's the hunter. He kills people. He does. So for people out there that likes this persona, he's their go-to. To now be so vulnerable with your own family, because you can be vulnerable with strangers. They don't know your baggage. To be that open with your brother to say, "I'm not the person I was before. I came here to save you when actually I need your help." I almost got killed twice. She saved me. I'm gonna get her killed. I failed my daughter. I'm gonna fail her. Every night that I wake up is because I failed my daughter. And someone that's getting older like myself, I need to get my eyes checked to see if I need glasses. I cannot relate to that when he's saying, I'm not the guy I was 5 years ago. I would have killed that kid. And then she had to say me that vulnerability that he showed there, and that's why people have been praising Pedro this whole week, was my favorite scene so far in the season. So I'm glad that they went that route instead of what you said, oh, I'm the bigger brother, the older brother, you have to do as I say. So I love that whole scene.
Yeah, I really like, again, that they hammered home to that, because in the game all we get is that line where he tells Ellie, like, I trust him more than I trust myself or something. That's all we get. So I did love that. And again, it's Joel's this person who's constantly complaining about having to save everyone, but he loves to save everyone. he loves being that person and being that guy. So again, I'm really loving what the show's doing with him and further fleshing out his issues.
Yeah, and then with Ellie, we see I love also, as we saw, as soon as Joel sees Tommy, and I love the way he just yelled his name and have that embrace. At that point, Ellie knows that she's been replaced, basically. Like, he found his brother, because you can see it in her eyes. What am I gonna do now? And she's been asking through the whole episode, what are you gonna do after this? Because she knows she doesn't have anyone. As soon as he connects with Tommy, she's like, I'm screwed. I've been replaced. What am I going to do now? Then her walls go up, right? When every time someone is asking her something, she's just biting back.
Yeah.
But slowly she starts opening up to everyone. That girl that's looking at her behind.
I want to mention, by the way, that's probably Dina. And that's a name. How would Marty McFly say, you guys aren't ready for that, but you're going to love it? Just throwing it out there.
All right. Yeah, I've seen a few tweets from people, so I have fleshing out my own ideas or how that's gonna play. But
again, there's no confirmation that's her, but
most likely.
Yeah.
All right. So the big scene, word for word, taken from the game when. Go ahead. When Joel goes to tell Ellie that he's pawning her on Tommy.
Yeah, it's they recreated the room. They're dressed very similarly, and they took out my favorite line from that dialogue in the game, but it still works. But man, just a powerful scene. They're basically fighting about their feelings about each other.
Yeah,
and I always say that they're the same person, and they basically are. They're closed off to the world except for each other, and the only way they know how to express themselves is just screaming at each other.
It's a fight. Yeah, it was a great scene, and I tweeted it out a few days afterwards that Pedro Pascal has been getting all the praise, and it's deserved praise because he's been killing it. Bella Ramsey deserved the same amount of praise for her portrayal of Ellie, and just that little scene, the way her voice changes when she's just pushing back. I just feel safer with you, no one else. And like everyone that I've loved or had a connection with has either died or left me except you, and now you're leaving. It's like heartbreak. And you're not my daughter, I'm not your father. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? But then Pedro Pascal has these rolls down where he's a
sweetheart.
He is. I've been trying to steal the source for 30 minutes and I couldn't.
I love that neither here or in the game they show you his turning around.
Mm-hmm.
In the game, he kind of looks at her and he sees she's disappointed, but it's like very quick. The turn is very quick, and here they played it out the same way. So I like that. I love that he gives her the choice. Like,
yes,
hey, and the minute she's like, I'm giving you a choice, boom. No,
let's go. Yeah, I loved it. I expected it to happen, but I didn't expect it to happen that fast.
Okay.
But I love that he said they wasn't, I changed my mind and coming. It was, you deserve the choice. And like you said, she didn't even have to think about it. Boom, let's go.
Let's go.
Poor Tommy, he's ready to go. And he said, okay, I guess I'm staying.
Tommy's like, Maria's gonna kill me.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be Maria that was gonna be on this table. When they stop, I'm like, okay, I guess Maria's here, and found out. I know when I saw Joel, interesting.
Maria, you'll see when we get to what the second game is, but Maria's a woman with an attitude, so you don't want to mess. And they skipped that bit here, but in the game, when Tommy's like, "Why are you gonna take her?" and he's like, "Oh, because I'm afraid of Maria."
Which I would too. All right, but they head out to Colorado, Boulder University or East Boulder, and hell, she goes down. Let's say it.
I had people texting me like, because we get that montage of them, bonding, and
yeah,
I love how quick that switch it is when they finally open up about each other. They don't mess around. She's like leaning against him, and he's teaching her. They're talking like if they've been best friends forever. I really love how they just let their guard down and just interact with each other.
Which again, it needs to happen for the ending to work.
Yeah.
Because if they were still at odds or with those walls up, it doesn't have the same impact. And we can just jump there. He gets stabbed with a broken bat, and
no, but what I was saying, like people were texting me like, "This is too happy. What's gonna happen?"
It was eventually gonna happen. I've always had that fear that they're gonna be separated at some point. Every episode I've been waiting. Okay, someone's gonna be taken, and it's gonna happen. Blah. I hate this, just because anxiety. But this was different. I'm gonna say before, because I said on prior episodes how I kind of fell off from The Walking Dead because a lot of it seemed repetitive. If this was The Walking Dead, as soon as you get to this town in Colorado, they would find out that the town is not what it seems. They're cannibals, and they have some clickers in the bag that they threw people. It's like, no, it's a very peaceful place.
Thank you for saying that, because I've had people text me like, I don't trust those people in Jackson. I don't trust Maria. I'm like, you should.
Yeah. So and I'm glad that we did.
Yeah.
All right, but the ending. They got to the Fireflies. They're gone. I guess they went to Utah. We gotta keep pushing.
All the Fireflies are going to Utah. All of them. This is important because in the game they don't say this, and things that happen later, this makes a little more sense.
All right, Utah. I almost went to Utah this past November for a work conference, and then they canceled it, and it was virtual. So I'm not a fan of virtual conference, but
no, it's boring. Yeah. Never been to Utah, but I love that the first thing that Ellie says is, "If you leave me, I'm booped."
Yeah. And then again, as someone that hasn't played the game, when Joel falls off that horse just bleeding, it's not like there's a hospital nearby or someone to help him. I don't know. He could die. Is it too early for him to die? I want to say yes. Don't say anything.
I can't remember what happens. I'll say this next episode is going to be interesting, but this is one of my favorite parts of the story. What's going to happen now?
Again, and I don't know what's happening. I love every episode so far, and I was like, oh, as soon as I see the preview for the next episode, I'll know. But I love that next episode is then a flashback to, I'm guessing, how Ellie got beat the first time. So I love that we're still not getting that reveal.
I'll say this, it's interesting because we got that story a couple, I don't know if it was like a year after the game came out, they released like this additional chapter, and it takes place right at this point, but we played it later, so it's interesting they're shoving it here now because it's gonna have to make all of you wait to know what happens.
Yeah. All right, so again, a great episode. I love everything that we've seen from this series. That we keep calling it, everyone keeps calling it a zombie show, but like you said, it's not a zombie show. Zombies. And there were 0 zombies, and it's probably the best episode so far, at least for myself.
I love this episode. I was not expecting it to. I was not expecting this part to be my favorite episode, but so far it's been.
Yeah. All right. With that, we bring an end to our talk on The Last of Us and a World Between Fandoms, and also we'll bring an end to our show until next week. The Mandalorian season 3 comes back. We'll have a lot to talk about it, along with the Bad Batch, and I'm sure more news about SW Celebration as we get closer. But as we start saying our goodbyes, thank you to Dr. Matt Studio for being here, Roberto, Michael from the 2med2 Network, and Dale, and of course, Mo and Brennan. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Alti is right there in your name, but where can people find you?
You can find me over at Twitter and Instagram and Hive, apparently, at EP Star Wars, whatever it says down there.
Yeah. Hive's still around. I still go and check it once in a while. I forget to promote the show there, but we're there also. Thanks for joining us at Radio Rebel Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Radio Rebellion Podcast at .com, whatever you can find our website. There's WordPress.com because I have the free version. But you'll find there our longer reviews of all the books. And also you can find our episodes there also if you miss anything. Well, thanks for joining us today. We'll be back next week, like I mentioned, talking about The Mandalorian, Season 3, Episode 1, and everything else. So thanks for joining us. Another great Star Wars Saturday. Stay safe, be safe, and may the Force be with you.